Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to Paws On Animation.
Today we're covering the first season of the RomCom anime, Kaguya-Sama Love is War.
This anime takes the love confession trope to an entirely new and different level. Now, when the main protagonists are aware of their feelings toward each other, the real game is getting the other one to confess it first. It's not just a game, it's war! It's war! It's war!
Every episode opens with that. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notification buttons on future podcasts and all the pause videos.
Absolutely. And hopefully you've seen this, because if you haven't, you're really missing out.
Right.
You gotta head over to Crunchyroll and start watching season 1.
Yes. And we had heard about this anime a lot on Twitter, actually. It's like the only place we could hear about it because it's only available right now on Crunchyroll. It's not on Netflix or HYDE or anywhere else, but it just seems to be there.
And it's probably not going to be because it's finishing up its final season and it's getting a live action movie. The manga is done.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So this is going to be the end of the franchise very soon. So we're better waiting to start now before it's officially over. And this is all we've seen so far, so you better stick around when we cover the live action thing. So for here, as you said, it takes that trope where for a lot of people it can be kind of like a pain to take until the entire end of the series for two people to figure out they like each other, confess, and date. Or if you're right in America, you confess, you date, and if you have another season, you break up within 5 episodes.
Well, in America is a whole different story from that, but we want this to be for everyone, so I can't tell you what it really is like in America.
Ooh, right? So for here, we saw like the first episode, and it's like you're watching someone being insane. Some insane person wrote a rom-com.
I think what makes the anime rom-coms and even the romances so engaging is that they don't end up in the bed after a kiss, or they even don't kiss and they end up in bed. Part of what makes this particular series so fascinating is you've got both MCs that are kind of dorky on their own.
Right.
And they're even more dorky together. But each one thinks the other is so cool.
Right. He's so cool.
And they're in love. Each of them is in love with the other. But as the story goes, they're going to see who's going to be the first to say, I love you. And they do everything they can not to say it. But everything they do obviously tells everyone that they are.
Right! So it still kind of tells you without telling. And another part is that it keeps going to immaculate detail about this is why like they'll tell you, let's just say you want to go out for a soda or something. Well, then they gotta tell you how the ritual goes and what it means. And if this person does it, this is what it means. If the other one does it, it means that. So you gotta plan on what to say, plan on where to go, make sure this one doesn't see it. And it's just like we're seeing the rundown of a football game, and they gotta tell you every single move that goes along with it. And if something comes in and makes the plan awry, all hell breaks loose.
Then you've got the trope of one's wealthy and one is a commoner. You've got the trope of where one is innocent and one thinks he's experienced. You've got the trope of one's being kept on a leash at home and really can't do anything, and the other has their freedom. But it's so wonderfully brought together in this series because it all works. It all works, and then they've got the crazy pink-haired girl. Oh my God!
Fujiwaka, I think.
And she just, oh! At first, I thought she was fun, and then she ruined everything, and I just wanted her out of the show. And it takes them to the end of the season to realize she's screwing everything up. Get rid of her. It's like we knew this already. Get her butt out of here.
And their minds, they monologue in their minds like a lot. And if it's not them, it's the narrator who's more like an announcer, because he runs down everything like a football game. He's just as loony as the people in there. And it's probably my favorite part of the anime. He is Looney Tunes like them, and half the time they know he's talking, they try to ignore him because he's talking to the audience.
And another thing that's really fascinating is all the people around them, all their classmates, think that they're experiencing love.
Right.
And they're always asking them, what can they do or what should they do in their advice? And they're like, oh, you're asking me? And then the other one's going, I don't know why you're asking him. She doesn't know jack. Oh, you're asking me. What are you asking him for? He can't tie his own shoe. And these people think that they're both experienced in love and can make everything better for them. And then what really ends up being funny is the advice they give them works for the couple they're asking.
And they're like,
but they can't solve their own crap.
Right. They're like, what?
Yeah, Shirogane just thinks, oh my goodness, he has all the answers. And somehow he does. And the same with her.
Kaguya,
but they can't solve their little predicament with each other. But then if they did, we wouldn't have this wonderfully fascinating show.
Right.
And I have to say that when I first saw it, the first thing I thought of, like everybody else did, was Spy Family. I remember telling Rascal, I said, this is Spy Family. They look just like your... That looks just like your... And that looks just like Lloyd. And she said, I don't see it. And then the very next day, there was fan art with them switching anime. And I said, I told you. So, it's just a wonderful rom-com. And the fact that it's ending is really sad because we keep seeing videos on YouTube that are just saying, like shoujo gone away, a rom-com is the thing of the past.
Yeah.
And it seems like, unfortunately, there's so much focus on shonen, which is nothing wrong with shonen, we love it.
Right.
But you also love to have the variety in the shows you're watching.
Right.
But for some reason, it seems like shows like this are maybe on their way out.
Right. And the thing is, we see there are some romances, but they're not written and done like this in Ouran High and Toradora and Nozaki-kun, where they're just off the walls crazy romances. It seems like someone was trying to replicate that with the Netflix one called Romantic Killer. And it is based off a manga, so it's not something they just came up with and threw on this platform. It is a manga. So it looks like they're trying to bring that back and trying to have something like that. And some people like it, but it's not getting that audience like Love is War and these other rom-coms. It's like it seems to be really specific still.
And I think part of it from the episodes we've seen is the main character in that one is so extreme. And the romance seems to be missing. And you want that romance in there with that crazy.
Right.
And that's what's missing for me.
Right. And I had said when we were watching, it seemed like they were copying rom-coms. The style, the animation was an Ozaki-kun anime. And then the style of off-the-wall being loud and everything was Love is War. It's like they were trying to just be crazy because one thing is a staple in here is that everyone, when they go inner monologues, they are screaming in their minds, they're stressing out over everything. Everything's the end of the world. What's this other person gonna think of me? It's catastrophic and it's hilarious. And it seemed like that show was trying to replicate it with the girl stressing out over the things she likes isn't being available to her and she's constantly losing her mind. I think that's what they were trying to imitate.
Well, in this one, you have every episode is fantastic. Every episode is great. And every episode of one is full of humor. There was one episode, if I'm not mistaken, it's the second to the last episode. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's the second to the last, where she is told she can't go to the festival.
Right.
It's got to be a festival.
She's kind of sent home,
anime. And she's locked in her room, but her governess, I guess that's what I'm going to call her, helps her to get out. She gets out. She gets lost. She can't find her way. She loses her shoe like Sam. And she's crying and saying she's not going to see the fireworks. She's always going to see fireworks her whole life. And in all this place, Shirogane ends up finding her. And there was the romance.
Yes.
And he grabs her. And at first you think it's her imagination. It's not real. And you find out it is real. And her friends, even pink hair crazy girl, and I know it's not her name, but that's what I'm going to call her. Everyone wants her to be with them, and they get to see the fireworks from the car, and you see the romance, and she's just staring at him instead of looking at the fireworks, and he's staring like a slack-jawed yokel, looking at the fireworks, and that is one of the best episodes because you see so many elements coming together. You see the possibilities for the relationship and where it's gonna go, and you see the wonderful moments and the heartfelt moments and the oh my all moments, and this is so sweet. Her friends really love her, and now she knows. And you get to the last episode, and they're back to the same crap they were doing before that episode. And it's like, you shouldn't be here now. After this has happened, you should have progressed.
Right?
No, they're afraid to talk to each other again. They're afraid to say something to each other. They don't want each other to know. Like, we already know. You should know after the darn limo ride.
I can't imagine another 2 seasons in the movie because of that.
It's got to be loaded with fun.
Right. And again, the comedy is like you're watching, almost like you're watching On, like you're watching a new On. And again, everyone is just so insane. Everyone's extreme and loud. Even the narrator, who I just call the announcer, and he's probably my favorite character in here because he just goes off the rails like them, because they'll get one little thing and they'll stress it over, and like when someone like Fujiwaka interrupts them or something, like they want to go on this trip for summer because they get shorter summer there, and she's like, oh, she's gonna go travel. It's like, okay,
she's gonna go to Spain,
right? And Hawaii,
she's gonna go to Hawaii,
right? And then
but she doesn't want them to go anywhere without her, and they're like, that's not fair.
Right?
We're gonna travel all these great places, but
we
you want
can't
to sit at home and wait for you,
right?
And then she gets mad,
right? And then when it gets to the first one, like, okay, no need to panic. We can work around this. She's going there, and then we can probably choose this. It'll just be yes. And it's like, oh, it's going to Spain too. And then he snaps in his mind. He said, you going to Spain? They ain't going to Spain. Why are you going on some magical cruise or something? And he just loses it and snaps. And the announcer, I'm just gonna call him that. And when he plays out a scenario how it's supposed to go and what it means if it goes a different way, he kind of goes crazy too. And it's like, what the heck is wrong with him too? And half the time they tell him to shut up.
And there's so many other things that are wonderful, including that you've got the great intro. They've got one of the best intros that we've seen for a rom-com.
And it's so catchy.
Yes, very catchy.
It's like a throwback.
Very fun. It kind of reminds you, if you've ever seen 60s movies, like with your parents and grandparents, then you see kind of like Austin Powers too.
Right.
If you've seen that, then you get kind of the way the intro is. It's a mock of a 60s movie.
Right.
And they did it so well. It does make you think of Austin Powers and actual 60s movies.
Right.
And then the outro is really nice. And then you've got characters that are memorable. Not just because they're crazy, but they're memorable. Somehow within this crazy framework, you've got character development. You've got characters that are fleshed out, that are interesting. There's lots we haven't mentioned.
Right.
Because there's so many characters.
It's too many,
So you just gotta watch it. You just gotta go to Crunchyroll and binge season 1. It's only 12 episodes.
Yes.
And season 2 is 12 episodes, and so is the final season. Oh, season 3.
Well, right. And then I think there's supposed to be a movie,
live action movie.
The live action movie, an animated movie, and then possibly one more season since the manga just ended.
Possibly.
And last thing to mention, I think, would be, as you said, they're so memorable. Another thing is that they're all clean.
Yes.
And with a lot of stuff here is just that they get to, I guess, the part most people think about when they watch stuff here. But in here, it's like a couple of them have that thought.
A couple innuendos.
Right. But one, Kaguya doesn't know anything about it. She's a teenager. She don't know squat about it. Shirogane knows a little bit, so he mistakes some things as that, and they don't mean that. And they don't want to do any of that because they say that's not right. That would be really wrong. We're gonna wait. If anything happens, it'd be like after they're married, years later or something. They don't want to do anything that would be distasteful to each other.
I was gonna say it reminds me of Maid Sama, but I read the manga, so that's not exactly true.
Right.
So never mind. Let's scratch that.
Right. Yeah, and every time
it would be more like Moron. It would be more like Ron with Tamaki. I mean, Moron. Or with Tamaki and Fujioka. That's what it would be more like.
Right. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. And you also love every time when she's looking at Shirogane, it's always how cool he is.
Yes.
And he's always in his school uniform all the time. Like, she's in different clothes.
And Russell kept saying, why every time she imagines him he's in his school uniform, I'm sure he doesn't dress like that out of school. And then when he became her knight in shining armor in that episode that was so great, he had on the freaking school uniform going to the festival.
She imagined it so much it came true.
So
because he's so cool.
Yes. If if you've seen Love is War Season 1, let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you love it as much as we do? Did you not like it? Who's your favorite character? Tell us. We really, really want to know.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen it, go to Crunchyroll exclusively and give this anime a try. You can thank us later because you're not going to want to stop watching it until you get to the end of the entire series that's available right now.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, Nothing's Animation, and the rest of Love is War.
Yes, and thank you so much for your support and for following us. And if you have a channel and we're not subscribed to you and you want us to check you out, tell us the name of your channel. Better yet, leave a link. We'll check it out and give you a follow. And we really appreciate your helping us out. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed already, as Rascal says, give us a subscribe and a like. We have more and more and more content coming up that will be very interesting and probably just for you.
Yes. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.